A big welcome to today's video. Today we have a question here by Priyanka. Priyanka asked a question on the topic of being aware of being aware. She said, "Hi Sunny, when I'm trying to be aware of awareness, my breath pauses. I have to consciously breathe, which brings my attention outside. Can you help me with where I'm going wrong here? Also, during self-inquiry, when thought arises, I would think that I am aware of this thought, and then the thought dissolves. But later I realize that I am aware of this thought is also a thought. How do you acknowledge a thought without a thought?" So two-part question here. So let's cover the first part, which is about the breath pausing. I get questions all the time about certain bodily and mental reactions to this practice. I want you to know that as you go down this path of meditation, this path of silence, the body and mind will react in many different ways. For some people, a lot of fears arise. For some people, a lot of bodily resistance arises. For a lot of people, it's mental things, again, such as fear, anxiousness, the fear of death even, or actually worse, on the bodily level, sometimes there's great bliss and pleasure. And on the mental level, there's great peace and happiness. The reason I say that those are worse reactions than the negative ones is because usually when people experience these things, they become attached to them. They become satisfied. They start to actually think that their self-inquiry, their meditation practice is a means to an end to achieve these peaceful, happy feelings. But the problem is that these feelings are equally changeful as the negative ones. It is just experience, transient, impermanent, and there's no self in it. So if you reduce your self-inquiry to a means to just achieve these higher, subtler states of being, more pleasant states of being, then your inquiry is limited, and it will not really yield the fruit that you are expecting it to. It will not get you anywhere. It will just help you feel a little more relieved and more at peace. But then once again, you'll find yourself in the midst of personal identity and identifying with your experience throughout. So that's why I say those positive experiences in meditation are worse than the negative, because at least the negative, like, you just start seeing them for what it is and they just pass. But the positive, you attach yourself. So don't fall into that trap. But with regardless of if it's a negative reaction, bodily or mental, or it's a positive reaction, bodily or mental, don't give it too much significance. Do not interpret it. Do not start wondering why it's here and what it means. Do not want it to be any different. Do not try to change it or manipulate it. Okay, so just let it be. The more you whatever happens, just let it be. Know that experience comes and goes. Not just the world outside of you, but also the bodily experience. The body is nothing other than an experience in your seeing. The mind is nothing other than an experience in your seeing. They are changing as equally as the world outside of you that you claim is changing. So no matter what happens, how the body or mind react in meditation, just let it come and go, arise and subside. Just let it be. And you'll notice that these reactions, they themselves will just dissolve over time. So something like this does happen, certainly, especially when you start practicing this meditation. Maybe your breath just stops. Because the breath and the mind are very equally connected. In the book, Who Am I?, Sri Ramana Maharshi states that the breath is the mind. The breath is the manifestation, the external, the form of the mind. So in this way, breath and mind are very connected. When breath is controlled, mind is controlled. When mind is controlled, breath is controlled. When breath is scattered, mind is scattered, vice versa. Now, if this happens, I ask you to it's okay. Just as you said, you consciously breathe. Just let the breath be as it is. Don't even necessarily try to manipulate the breath. Just let it be as it is. Don't give it too much significance. I know what you mean by you saying it brings your attention once again outward onto breath, but then that's okay. Just bring it back to the seer of the breath. Acknowledge the seer. Acknowledge the seeing. Okay? Keep returning to self-awareness. In self-inquiry, it is not about what you are aware of, whether it be the breath or sensations or whatever. It is about acknowledging, noticing, becoming aware of myself that sees. The question, who am I? Or what is perceiving this? Or as what am I aware? It is not an intellectual question. It is not focused in what you are aware of. It is there to point you to the fact of the seeing, in which whatever you are seeing is appearing. So keep returning to that self-awareness. Now, you said, I would think to myself that I am aware of this thought, but then I acknowledge that that is also a thought. So how to be aware of thought without saying, I am aware of this thought? And you're absolutely right. I am aware of the thought. Thinking that is not this practice. Saying to yourself, right, this constant self-talk, oh, I am aware of that thought. Oh, that's also a thought. That's also a thought. This is not self-inquiry. Notice that the thought, this is a thought, right? The thought that says this is a thought is also spontaneously, without any effort, witnessed. You are the witness of it. So you are saying how to be aware of the thought without another thought. I'm sharing with you that this is already always happening. A thought cannot arise without you being aware of it. This is what you have to start to notice. That even the thought that says, oh, this is a thought, that arises so intimately and it feels like I am saying this. But even that thought is being seen. The moment that thought arises, automatically there's a knowing of it, which is why you are aware of it. It appears that I am doing this thought or I am thinking this thought, but that's not necessarily true. You're not capable of thinking. You're not capable of doing any thought. Thought just arises. It feels like me and my voice, but actually thought just arises. You are only the witness of it. You are the motionless, changeless witness of all that arises. So this is what I want you to start noticing, that you don't have to do anything to be aware of thought. In the moment the thought arises, by whom is it known? You. That is the knowing that we're speaking of. That is the awareness that we're speaking of, that is ever present, without which the thought could not be known. Now, even when the next thought arises and says, that's a thought, notice that even subtler than, prior to that voice that says, this is a thought, is the knowing of it. I am the knower of it. I see even that thought that arises and says, this is a thought. That voice claims to be me, right? Now you have to start seeing past that illusion. You are not the thought that is saying this and that. You are no thought. All thoughts arise in my seeing. I am the witness. I am the knower of this thought and that thought. I am the knower of their arising and passing. This is not a one-time seeing. You really have to sit with this and practice this. So this, my friend, is self-inquiry. Always recognizing yourself to be the ever-present witness of all that arises, all experience that comes and goes. And whenever you find yourself outward into, focused in, immersed in what you are aware of, instead of being so concerned with what you are aware of, instead of being so concerned with the content of your thoughts, acknowledge the seeing in which they arise. That seeing, that awareness is wordless, it is conceptless, it is thoughtless. When all thoughts subside, the knowing that remains is not saying anything. There's no notion present there, no concept present there. That is what self-inquiry is pointing you to. I have a whole free mini course on self-inquiry. It will totally transform your practice. I'll link it down below. It's attached to my support group that I just created. where it's a community where you can submit questions like this for me to answer on these videos. I select a few every week. So I'll link that down below. Check it out, okay? Make sure to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. And if you want my personal help, learn more about my School of Awakening, which is my private coaching program. And that's all established in this teaching as well. So I'll link that down below also. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it helped you. I'll see you next time.